The fluorescent lights buzzed like angry hornets overhead, casting a sterile glow on the chaos of half-folded sweaters and discarded hangers. I, Tyler Hayes, 24 and drowning in the anonymity of a Saturday afternoon in Midtown Manhattan's H&M, had just yanked the curtain shut on the tiniest fitting room known to humanity. Barely enough space for one body, let alone two. But there he was, Justin Reyes, all 6 feet of him crammed in with me, his broad shoulders brushing mine as he muttered, "Sorry, man, the line's a mile long out there." His voice a low rumble that hit me like a rogue wave. And then, without warning, as our eyes locked in that suffocating square of fabric and fear, he dropped, slow, deliberate, to his knees right there on the gritty tile floor, his hands steadying on my hips like he'd been waiting his whole life for this reckless permission. My heart slammed against my ribs, a prisoner breaking free. Justin's dark eyes, flecked with gold like autumn leaves caught in streetlight, held mine without flinching, raw, unapologetic hunger mixed with something softer. Something that whispered of lonely nights in Brooklyn walk-ups. "I've been watching you since the jeans rack," he breathed, his breath hot against the denim of my thigh, the words slicing through the hum of shoppers beyond the curtain like a confession in a confessional. In that split second, with the world reduced to the scent of his cedar cologne and the faint echo of pop music filtering through, I realized this wasn't just impulse. It was the spark of a fire that could burn us both to the ground, or light up the shadowed corners of lives we'd both been hiding from. I didn't pull away, couldn't. My fingers tangled in his tousled black hair instead, the kind that looked effortlessly windswept from subway rides and rooftop smokes, as if New York itself had styled him for this moment. "What the hell are you doing?" I whispered, my voice cracking like thin ice underfoot, but there was no real protest in it, just the thrill of a man teetering on the edge of everything he'd ever denied himself. Justin's lips curved into a half-smile, that boyish grin that probably disarmed baristas and bouncers alike, and he tilted his head up, his stubble grazing my palm. "Proving I'm not invisible," he said simply. And damn if that didn't hook deeper than any line I'd heard in the dive bars of the village. We didn't cross that final line. Not there, not with the risk of a sales associate's knock or a curtain twitch from the nosy type. But as he rose, slow and deliberate, our bodies aligning in the cramped space like puzzle pieces forced together, the air thickened with unspoken promises. His hand lingered on my waist, thumb tracing the hem of my shirt, sending sparks up my spine. "Coffee?" he asked, casual as if he hadn't just rewritten my afternoon. I nodded, breathless, and we slipped out separately, me first, pretending to browse graphic tees, him trailing a beat later with a stolen glance that said this was far from over. That coffee turned into a walk down Fifth Avenue, the November chill nipping at our heels as golden leaves skittered across sidewalks like confetti from a forgotten parade. Justin was a graphic designer from Bushwick, 26, with a laugh that boomed like bass from a passing cab and stories that painted Brooklyn as this vibrant, gritty canvas where dreams either exploded or faded into the graffiti. He talked about his abuela's tamales, the ones that could fix a broken heart or fuel a revolution, and how he'd come out to his family at 19, only to watch his father's face crumple like wet cardboard. "He still calls every Sunday," Justin said, sipping his black coffee from a to-go cup, steam curling like secrets between us. "Pretends it didn't happen. But hey, progress." I envied that fracture, that clean break he'd survived. Me, Tyler Hayes, born and bred in the cookie-cutter suburbs of Westchester, I'd buried my truths under layers of straight-laced denial. College at NYU had cracked the facade. Hookups in dorms that tasted like freedom and regret. But back home, I was the golden boy. Marketing intern by day, dutiful son by night, dodging my mom's endless parade of nice girls from the synagogue. "You're waiting for the right one," she'd say, her eyes hopeful over pot roast, oblivious to the ache I nursed in silence. Justin saw through it all in one afternoon, his gaze stripping me bare without a word. By dusk, we were at his place. A third-floor walk-up in a brownstone that smelled of fresh paint and microwave popcorn. The living room was a testament to controlled chaos. Sketches pinned to walls like captured fireflies, a vintage record player spinning Coltrane's melancholy sax, and a couch that sagged invitingly under thrift store quilts. We didn't rush. Wine first, cheap Merlot from the corner bodega, then stories swapped like trading cards. He showed me his portfolio, fingers brushing mine as he flipped pages, each design a burst of color that mirrored the heat building between us. "You're tense," he murmured, his knee pressing against mine. "Let me fix that." His touch was electric, mapping my shoulders with the precision of an artist, thumbs digging into knots I didn't know I carried. When our lips finally met, it was slow, exploratory. A kiss that tasted of Merlot and possibility, his hands cradling my face like I was fragile porcelain. We tumbled to the couch, clothes shedding like old skin, bodies aligning in a rhythm that felt ancient, inevitable. Justin was all contrasts. Gentle where I expected force, whispering my name like a prayer between gasps. In the afterglow, tangled in sheets that smelled of him, I traced the tattoo on his collarbone. A small compass rose, inked after his first heartbreak. "Points north," he explained softly, "to whatever's worth chasing." That night marked the beginning, but beginnings in New York are fragile as snowflakes, beautiful until the grind melts them away. We fell into a pattern. Texts at dawn, "Miss your laugh already." Stolen lunches in Bryant Park where he'd sketch me surreptitiously. Weekends lost in his bed or mine, a sterile studio in Hell's Kitchen that he christened with laughter. Justin pulled me out of my shell, dragging me to queer open mics in the East Village where I'd sip gin and tonic, mesmerized by his readings. Poems about loving in the cracks of concrete empires. He made me feel seen, desired, whole. For the first time, the mirror didn't reflect a stranger. But shadows lurked. My job at a midtown ad agency was a pressure cooker. Endless pitches, a boss who mistook my quiet for weakness, and colleagues who eyed my single status with pitying smirks. "When you settling down, Ty?" They'd rib, oblivious to the ring I wore on my soul for Justin. And home, God, home was a minefield. My parents' annual Thanksgiving prep calls started early that year, Mom's voice laced with expectation. "Bring Sarah from accounting? She's lovely." I dodged, deflected, but the guilt festered like an untreated wound. Justin had his ghosts too. Late-night calls from an ex, Marco, some brooding photographer who'd shattered him 2 years back with infidelity and indifference. "He's ancient history," Justin insisted, but I'd catch him staring at his phone, thumb hovering over delete. Still, we built something real. Lazy Sundays with bagels and the Times crossword, where he'd tease my straight boy answers. Midnight runs to the 24-hour diner for greasy fries and heart-to-hearts about futures we dared to dream. "Someday," he'd say, lacing our fingers under the Formica table. "A place upstate. You, me, a dog that doesn't shed on the rugs." I believed him, believed us, until the first crack appeared, subtle as a hairline fracture in glass. It was mid-December, the city a glittering frenzy of lights and lunacy. We'd planned a low-key holiday, his abuela's place in Queens for tamales, then my parents for the obligatory turkey charade. But on the subway ride to his family's, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Tell Justin Marco says hi. Saw your Insta story. Cute couple pic. Careful who you tag next time." Attached was a screenshot. Me and Justin at the tree lighting in Rockefeller Center, his arms slung around my waist, my head on his shoulder. Innocent, joyful, but tagged publicly for the world and apparently Marco to see. Justin's face paled when I showed him, the train rattling like thunder in his silence. "Block him," I said, squeezing his hand. He nodded, but his eyes were distant, storms brewing behind that easy smile. Yeah, old habits. We pushed through dinner. Abuela's hugs warm as fresh tortillas, cousins ribbing us about city boys and their fancy coffees. But the joy felt forced, the tamale spice doing little to mask the bitterness rising. That night, back in Bushwick, he vanished into the bathroom for an hour, emerging with red-rimmed eyes and a forced grin. "Just needed a minute," he lied, pulling me close. We made love fiercely, desperately, as if friction could erase the intruder's shadow. But seeds of doubt took root. Was Marco just a ghost, or a specter with unfinished business? The new year dawned with champagne toasts and resolutions whispered in the dark. More honesty, deeper trust. I quit dodging mom's calls, even floated the idea of bringing Justin home. Not as a friend, but as me. He beamed, that megawatt smile chasing away winter's gloom. Proud of you, Ty. We're in this. Spring bloomed tentative, cherry blossoms dusting Washington Square Park like pink confetti. Our lives intertwined further. I crashed at his place more. His sketches now featured doodles of us. Stick figure versions holding hands under the Brooklyn Bridge. He met my best friend from college, Lena, over beers in a Williamsburg taproom. She pulled me aside after, whispering, "He's a keeper. Don't fuck this up." I laughed, but her words echoed, a talisman against the unease gnawing at me. Marco's shadow lingered, though. Sporadic texts, blocked numbers, vague threats veiled as concerned friend bullshit. Justin waved them off, but I saw the toll. Skipped meals, pacing at 3 a.m., his creativity curdling into frantic all-nighters. "He's jealous," he'd say, but his voice lacked conviction. One April evening, after a gallery opening where he sold his first major piece, a vibrant mural of intertwined lovers against a city skyline, I found him on the fire escape, joint in hand, staring at the lights like they held answers. "Talk to me," I pleaded, sliding the window up to join him. The air was crisp, laced with distant sirens. He exhaled smoke, slow and sorrowful. "Marco, he knows how to twist the knife. Says he'll out me to my abuela if I don't meet him. She's old school, Ty. Catholic guilt runs deep." My stomach dropped. "Out you? But she knows, right?" He shook his head, ash scattering like regrets. "Not like this. Not with details. Not with you." The confession hung heavy, a storm cloud over our fragile spring. I'd assumed his family was fully on board, his easy banter with cousins, abuela's knowing winks. But layers peeled back. His coming out had been partial, a phase his dad tolerated from afar. Abuela's love conditional on discretion. Justin had built walls around us, protecting them as much as himself. "I didn't want to burden you," he admitted, voice breaking. "You're just starting to live your truth." I pulled him inside, our kiss salty with unshed tears. "We're a team, remember? Compass North." We fortified, changed numbers, scrubbed socials, even hired a PI buddy of Lena's to monitor Marco's digital footprints. For a while, peace reigned. Lazy picnics in Prospect Park, where he'd feed me strawberries, juice staining our lips red as promises. But betrayal brews in silence, and summer's heat amplified the cracks. It hit on a sweltering July 4th, fireworks exploding over the East River like defiant stars. We'd escaped the city for a weekend in the Hamptons, his treat from a freelance gig, a borrowed beach house with creaky floors and ocean views. Freedom tasted like salt air and skinny dipping at midnight, our laughter echoing as we raced waves. That night, under a canopy of mosquito netting, he loved me with a tenderness that bordered on reverence, whispering futures. Adoptions, travels, a life unapologetic. Morning brought the storm. My phone, left charging on the nightstand, lit up with notifications. Lena's frantic texts. "Ty, check your email now. It's bad." Heart pounding, I opened it. Screenshots from an anonymous sender. Justin's Grindr profile. Active, time-stamped last week. Chatting up strangers with flirty emojis and meet-up hints. One name jumped. Marco. Messages explicit, laced with nostalgia. "Miss that fire we had. Ty's sweet, but you need real heat." My vision blurred, the room spinning like a bad carnival ride. He was in the kitchen, flipping pancakes shirtless, humming off-key to the radio. "Babe, you okay? You look like you saw a ghost." I thrust the phone at him, words choking in my throat. His face drained of color, pancakes forgotten as they charred in the pan. "Ty, wait, it's not." But the evidence was damning. Timestamps aligning with his late client meetings. The casual lies about catching up with old friends. "Marco," I spat, the name venom on my tongue. "All this time protecting your family, but him? You went running back." Justin crumpled against the counter, hands raking through his hair. "He cornered me, said he'd leak everything. Photos from our old trips, stuff that'd destroy my abuela's heart. I met him once just to talk him down. Escalated. I swear it was one night. A mistake. I love you, Tyler. Only you. The words landed like punches, each one hollowing me out. One night, the profile screamed habit, the chats of betrayal etched in pixels. I grabbed my keys, storming out into the humid haze, the beach mocking me with its serene waves. He followed, barefoot on the gravel drive. Please, tumbling like loose change. Please, don't walk away. We're worth fighting for. I drove back to the city alone, the Hamptons blurring into a watercolor of hurt. The apartment, our apartment now in my mind, felt cavernous, echoes of his laughter haunting the walls. Days bled into nights of numb routine. Work blurred through tears, Lena's casseroles uneaten on the counter, calls from Mom laced with worry I couldn't voice. Justin's texts piled up, raw, poetic apologies. I'm the villain in my own story, but you're my redemption. Come home. I couldn't. Pride and pain warred in my chest. A civil skirmish with no victors. Marco's game unraveled piecemeal. The PI uncovered his vendetta. A bitter ex twisting jealousy into sabotage. Justin cut ties, permanently this time, with a restraining order and therapy sessions he dragged me to, begging for a second chance. I panicked. He confessed in the therapist's beige office, voice steady despite the tremor in his hands. Fear makes monsters of us. But losing you? That's the real terror. Summer waned, leaves turning traitor as fall crept in. I tested the waters. Coffee, tentative and torturous, his eyes searching mine for forgiveness. Walks in Central Park, where acorns crunched underfoot like brittle trust reforming. One crisp October evening, atop the high line with the city sprawling below like a forgiven sin, I took his hand. I hate what you did, I said, the skyline blurring with unshed tears. But I love who we could be. He exhaled, a prayer answered, pulling me close. Then let's rebuild. Brick by honest brick. The climax came unbidden, a tempest in November's chill. My parents' Thanksgiving loomed, the annual gauntlet I'd vowed to face with truth as armor. Justin came nervous, impeccable in a button-down that hugged his frame, carrying Abuela's pecan pie as peace offering. Mom's eyes widened at the introduction. This is Justin, my partner. The word hung electric. Dad's fork paused midair, face a mask of confusion. Mom's smile faltered, then held, fragile as spun sugar. Dinner was a minefield. Probing questions veiled as small talk, silence as thick as gravy. Then Dad cleared his throat, voice gruff. So Tyler, this a phase like your art in high school? The table froze. Justin's hand found mine under the cloth. A lifeline. I met Dad's gaze steady. No, Dad, this is me. Loving him is the truest thing I've ever done. Tears welled, his, hers, even Dad's in that stoic way. Abuela's pie became communion, stories swapped like olive branches. Justin's Abuela tales softening Mom's edges. Dad's war stories bridging the gap. It wasn't perfect, no fairy tale absolution, but it was human. Flawed, forgiving, forward. Winter wrapped us gently after, snow blanketing the city in quiet absolution. We moved in together, his Bushwick walk-up, now ours, walls alive with joint sketches and photos. Us at the tree lighting, untagged but unafraid. Marco faded to footnote, therapy our compass true north. On New Year's, under fireworks that rivaled July's fury, Justin dropped again. Not to knees, but a ring. Simple silver, etched with worth chasing. I said yes, the word a vow against the void. In America's vast, unforgiving heart, we'd carved our corner. Dramatic, emotional, romantic, profoundly human. Not without scars, but stronger for them. And in the quiet mornings, his head on my chest, I'd whisper thanks to whatever fitting room fate dropped us there. For in that cramped space, we'd found not just each other, but the courage to claim the light. The ring caught the dawn light filtering through our gauzy curtains, a modest gleam that felt like victory. Justin stirred beside me, his lashes fluttering open to that sleepy smile that still unraveled me. "Morning, fiancé," he murmured, voice husky from sleep, pulling me closer until our legs tangled like roots seeking soil. I kissed his forehead, tasting salt and home, the weight of last night's promise settling warm in my chest. But even in bliss, doubts whispered, soft as snow, insistent as sirens. Could we really rewrite our endings? Or were we just delaying the fall? January in New York is a brutal editor, slashing away illusions with wind that howls like unanswered prayers. Work ramped up for both of us. My agency landing a major campaign for a queer-friendly apparel line. Ironic, given our origin story, while Justin's freelance gigs ballooned into a full-time offer from a Soho studio. We celebrated with dim sum in Chinatown, steam rising like our aspirations, chopsticks clacking as we plotted. "Wedding in the fall?" he suggested, eyes sparkling over pork buns. "Small abuela, Lena, your folks. Central Park gazebo, under those leaves turning gold." I nodded, heart swelling, but the logistics loomed. Visas for his distant cousins in Puerto Rico, budgets stretched thin on our combined incomes. And deeper still, the scars. Therapy continued, twice monthly in a sun-dappled office overlooking the Hudson, where Dr. Ellis prodded our wounds with clinical kindness. "Betrayal erodes trust," she'd say, her glasses glinting. "Rebuild with actions, not words." Justin took it to heart, date nights inscribed in our shared Google Calendar, no phone zones during dinners, even a jar on the counter for gratitude notes. Slips of paper where we'd scribble appreciations. "Your laugh lights the room," or "Thanks for the coffee run," hero status. It worked, mostly. Mornings became rituals. Him brewing espresso strong enough to wake the dead. Me scrambling eggs with herbs from the fire escape pots we'd planted together. Evenings unwound with vinyl spins. Nina Simone's Velvet Ache or Springsteen's blue-collar anthems. Bodies swaying in the cramped kitchen like we had all the space in the world. Sex was rediscovery. Slow explorations that mapped new territories of vulnerability, his fingers tracing the freckles on my back like constellations. "You're my North Star," he'd breathe, and I'd believe it, every time. But February brought frost to more than the windows. A package arrived, unmarked, heavy, dropped at our stoop by some phantom delivery. Inside, a leather-bound sketchbook, pages filled with Justin's early work, but defaced. Harsh red ink slashing through figures, words scrawled in Marco's jagged script. "Remember who inspired this shit? Not your bland boy." Photos followed. Grainy prints of us at the High Line, oblivious with Marco's shadow in the frame. A note. "He'll always come back. Bet on it." Justin burned it all in the bathtub that night, flames licking up like vengeful tongues, his face illuminated in orange fury. "How does he keep finding us?" he raged, voice echoing off tiles. The PI traced it to a mutual art contact, someone Marco had charmed, unwittingly or not. We fortified again. New locks, a Ring camera blinking red vigil, but the violation lingered, a chill that seeped into our bones. I caught him scrolling old messages late one night, thumb pausing over Marco's name. "Deleted, but ghosts don't vanish easy." "Just checking," he lied, but we both knew. Temptation's echo. Mom called mid-month, her voice tentative over the line static. "Tyler, honey, about Thanksgiving. Your father and we've been reading PFLAG pamphlets, that sort of thing." Pride swelled. Unexpected. Dad had joined a support group, she confessed, awkward admissions over coffee with other dads like him. "We're trying," she said, and it was enough. More than enough. We invited them for Valentine's. Fondue and heart-shaped cookies. Dad's handshake firm on Justin's. Mom's hugs lingering. "He makes you glow," she whispered as we cleared plates. And I nearly cracked, the dam of years holding back. Spring tiptoed in with crocuses pushing through concrete, mirroring our tentative thaw. Wedding planning became our anchor. Venue hunts in the village, tasting menus that ended in laughter over two sweet cakes. Justin designed our invites, minimalist lines evoking the Brooklyn Bridge. 2 souls, 1 crossing. Lena threw a co-ed shower in her loft, drag queens serving mimosas and roasting us with affection. To Tyler and Justin, one quipped, feather boa fluttering. May your fights be short and your makeup sex legendary. We clinked glasses, cheeks flushed, the future tangible as the bubbles bursting. Yet conflict simmered beneath the joy. Justin's studio gig demanded overtime, his returns marked by exhaustion's hollow cheeks. Big project, he'd say, pecking my cheek before collapsing. I buried my worry in freelance edits, but resentment brewed. Nights alone with takeout and Netflix, wondering if absence was the new betrayal. One May evening, after he'd bailed on our anniversary hike upstate, I confronted him in the living room, sketches scattered like fallen soldiers. Are you pulling away? Is this Marco's curse? Or just us fading? He recoiled, eyes wide with hurt. God, Ty, no. It's pressure, the job's a dream, but deadlines are killers. And the wedding. What if I'm not enough? What if I fuck it up like before? Vulnerability cracked him open, raw as peeled fruit. We talked till dawn, words weaving repair. Boundaries on work hours, weekly check-ins like vital signs. It bonded us deeper, his head in my lap as birdsong heralded morning. We're fighters, I murmured, fingers in his hair. Ring or no ring. Summer scorched in a furnace testing resolve. Abuela's health dipped, pneumonia's grip on her 90-year frame, and Justin shuttled to Queens, his worry a shadow trailing him home. I tagged along, her frail hand in mine as she doled wisdom in Spanglish. Amor es trabajo, mijo. No regalo. Love is work, not a gift. Her blessing came wrapped in a rosary, beads clicking like approval. You make him shine. That's familia. But the real storm brewed at work. My agency, chasing edgier clients, pitched a campaign flirting with stereotypes. Queer tropes played for laughs in a beer ad. I pushed back in meetings, voice steady. This isn't progress, it's punchlines. Whispers followed. Ty's gone woke. Then the email from HR. Performance review pending. Align with team vision. Justin raged when I told him, pacing our fire escape. Quit. We'll figure it out. But fear anchored me. Bills, stability, the American dream's iron chains. Climax crashed in August, humid and unrelenting. A client retreat in the Catskills. Team-building ropes courses and forced fun. Me rooming with my sleazy boss, Greg, whose jokes reeked of frat boy fossils. Night 2. Bonfire crackling. Beers flowing. He cornered me. Heard about your arrangement. Cute, but clients talk. Tone it down, Hayes, or you're sidelined. Fury boiled, but I swallowed it. Until the next morning, when a leaked email chain surfaced. My objections mocked in emojis, tagged with rainbow flags turned daggers. I drove home raging, tires chewing asphalt, bursting into our apartment where Justin waited with cooling paella. Words exploded. Accusations flying like shrapnel. My silence complicity, his distractions neglect. You're ashamed, I yelled. Hiding behind work while I fight alone. He fired back. And you're clinging to a job that chews you up. For what? Approval from ghosts. We shattered a vase, shards glittering like tears, storming to separate corners. Me on the couch, him in the bedroom. Dawn brought regret's hangover. He emerged first, coffee in hand, eyes puffy. I'm sorry. I hate seeing you diminished. I pulled him down, apologies mingling. We're both scared. Of losing this, of losing us. That day, I tendered resignation, the email a liberation. Justin quit the studio too, freelance freedom calling. We honeymooned early. A road trip upstate, tent pitched by Finger Lakes, stars our canopy. There, under meteor showers, we renewed vows unspoken. Hands clasped, bodies joined, the past ash in our rear view. Fall gilded everything, wedding day crisp as apple cider. Central Park gazebo, leaves a fiery halo, 50 souls witness. Parents beaming, dad's toast surprisingly eloquent. Abuela in her wheelchair beaming beads, Lena officiating with flair. Vows exchanged mine. You dropped to your knees and lifted my world. His. In that fitting room, I found home. Rings slid on, kisses sealed. The crowd's cheers a symphony. Life post-vows was no idol, but richly human. Freelance hustles sinking our rhythms, a rescue mutt named Compass shedding on every rug, family dinners blending pot roast and pernil. Betrayals scarred, but forgiveness tempered us, stronger steel. On anniversaries, we'd revisit that Midtown H&M, laughing at the memory, curtain drawn on a private reenactment. Him dropping, me catching, love's gravity eternal. In America's mosaic, we were one tile, flawed, fierce, forever. The first year of marriage unfolded like a well-worn vinyl album. Familiar grooves with surprises in the skips. Compass, our wiry terrier mix with a penchant for stealing socks, became the chaotic heartbeat of our home, his barks punctuating freelance calls and late-night edits. Justin's designs landed in indie mags, bold abstracts that screamed his soul, while I pivoted to consulting for queer nonprofits, crafting narratives that amplified voices long muted. Income dipped, ramen nights returned, but the freedom tasted sweeter than any corner office salary. Thanksgiving that year was our litmus test. Full fusion at my parents' Westchester Colonial, tables groaning under turkey and Eras con gandals. Dad carved with newfound ease, his pass the gravy, laced with questions about Justin's latest project. Genuine curiosity blooming from that support group soil. Mom fussed over Abuela, who arrived via cab with a Tupperware of flan and stories of mi nieto, the artist who paints with heart. Laughter flowed freer, toasts to family redefined. Though undercurrents lingered, Dad's averted eyes during our casual handholds, Abuela's rosary clicking in quiet judgment. But it was progress inching like ivy up brick. Winter holidays tested deeper. Justin's Abuela passed in January, a quiet exit in her sleep, leaving a void that echoed in empty tamale wrappers. Her funeral in Queens was a tapestry of tears and triumphs. Cousins in sharp suits, mariachi horns wailing over snow-dusted graves, Justin's eulogy a masterpiece of love. She taught me to season life bold, even the bitter parts. I held him as he shattered, his sobs muffled in my coat, whispering, "You're her legacy, fierce, flavorful." We scattered her ashes by the Gowanus Canal at dusk, her spirit mingling with the industrial haze, a final act of gritty grace. Grief reshaped us. Justin threw into work, canvases blooming with loss's abstract fury, swirls of indigo and crimson that galleries snapped up. I anchored, cooking her recipes from memory, the kitchen alive with cumin and memory. Nights, we'd curl on the couch, Compass at our feet, binging old sitcoms till laughter cracked the sorrow. "She'd love this mutt," he'd say, scratching ears, and we'd toast her with café con leche, steam rising like prayers. Spring brought renewal. A book deal for me, essays on queer invisibility in corporate America. My fitting room epiphany the hook. Justin illustrated the cover. Two silhouettes in a curtained glow, knees bent in supplication. Launch party in a NoHo bookstore, shelves sagging under tomes, friends toasting with Prosecco. Lena cornered us in the stacks. "You too?" Disgustingly happy. "Spill the secret." Justin grinned, arm around my waist. 1 part impulse, 2 parts forgiveness, infinite love. But harmony's a jealous mistress. Conflict coursed in summer's veins. A gallery show in Chelsea beckoned Justin. His breakthrough, spotlit amid Basquiat's and Banksy's. Prep consumed him. Sleepless studios, paint-splattered clothes, my bed cold as a critic's sneer. "It's huge, Ty," he'd say, eyes manic. "This could change everything." I supported grocery runs, pep talks over Thai takeout, but resentment simmered, a low boil. Our sex life cooled to quick comforts, touches efficient as chores. One July night, post-deadline haze, he stumbled home at 4 a.m., reeking of turpentine and cheap wine. "Celebrating early," he slurred, collapsing beside me. Morning light revealed the truth. Lipstick on his collar, not paint. Smudged coral, foreign. My stomach nodded as I shook him awake. "Whose is this?" Voice steel, heart lead. He blinked, hangover sharpening to horror. "Fuck. It's nothing. A kiss from Elena, the curator. Networking bullshit." Elena. Sharp-tongued redhead from his art circle, flirty at openings, eyes lingering too long. Networking? I echoed, phone in hand, scrolling her Insta. Candid of them at the after-party, arms linked, captions winking. The fight erupted, words weapons. You're spiraling again, chasing validation like it's oxygen. He fired back. And you're suffocating me with expectations. This shows my shot. Why can't you trust? Trust, the ghost we thought exorcised, rising spectral. I stormed to Lena's, couch surfing with wine and rants, her hugs fierce. Talk it out or lose it, she advised, ever the sage. He called the next day, voice wrecked. I fucked up. Meet me? Neutral ground. A diner off Flatbush, Formica scarred as our egos. Over eggs and apologies, truth spilled. Elena's advance, his rebuff too slow, the kiss a reflex in booze's blur. I panicked like with Marco. Old patterns. Tears streaked his menu. But you're my choice, always. I waited, heavy as the ring on my finger, then reached across. Prove it. Cut the toxicity. We're partners, not props. He did. Distanced from Elena's circle, therapy solo to unpack the chase. The show opened to acclaim, reviews hailing his raw emotional architecture. But he dedicated it to me in the program, for Tyler, who steadies the frame. Standing in the crowd, suit crisp, his eyes found mine amid flashes. A silent vow. Fall deepened our roots. Abuela's heirloom rosary became a keychain on Justin's studio bag, a talisman against temptation. We adopted a routine. Sunset walks with compass, leashes taut, city lights winking approval. My book tour kicked off. Readings in Boston, Philly, whispers of relatable from fans who'd shared fitting rooms of their own. Homecomings were rituals. Him waiting with sketches of my travels, me with trinkets. Philly cheesesteaks frozen for midnight feasts. Yet the undercurrent pulled. Dad's health scare in October, a mild heart episode that landed him in Stanford Hospital, monitors beeping like accusations. Too much stress, the doc said, eyeing his ledger of regrets. Mom called frantic. He wants to see you both. We drove, rain lashing the Prius, Justin's hand steady in mine. Dad, pale in his gown, gripped my arm. Proud of you, son, for living loud. It was absolution, partial but potent. His nod to Justin a bridge mended. Winter circled back, holidays hybrid. Christmas Eve at Abuela's old apartment. Now cousin's domain. Piñata swings echoing her joy. Day with my folks. Tree twinkling over lax and lumpia. Compass gnawed a stocking. Chaos reigning. Love the constant. Anniversary dawned in our third year. Snow blanketing Bushwick like forgiveness. We revisited Midtown. H&M unchanged. Fluorescent hum nostalgic. In that same fitting room, curtain drawn, he dropped again. Knees to tile, gaze upward, ring glinting. Still my impulse, he whispered. I pulled him up, kiss deepening. And my forever. Life's drama ebbed. Emotion the tide pulling us true. Romantic in gestures. A surprise weekend in Provincetown. Dunes whispering secrets. Humanistic in the grind. Volunteering at the Ali Forney Center. Holding hands with street kids chasing their own truths. Betrayals? Faded scars, stories for toasts. In America's vast narrative, ours was a chapter bold. Hooked in a curtain spark, sustained by human fire. By our fourth year, the rhythm of us had evolved into something symphonic, crescendos of passion punctuating adagios of domesticity. Compass, now grizzled with a limp from overzealous park chases, claimed the foot of our bed like a furry sentinel. His snores a lullaby sinking our breaths. We'd upgraded living. A one-bedroom in Bed-Stuy, brownstone charm with exposed brick and a bay window framing stoop symphonies. Kids' laughter, bodega radios crooning Bad Bunny. Rent strained, but the space breathed. Justin's drafting table by the light. My laptop nook piled with manuscripts in progress. Career arcs intertwined. My essays birthed a podcast. Out of the closet, into the boardroom. Guests spilling stories of corporate closets and breakthroughs. Justin producing beats that underscored their fire. Episodes went viral, sponsors trickled, queer-owned coffee brands, ethical suiting lines, affording splurges like a weekend in Fire Island, where pine-scented trails led to bonfires and body paints under moon glow. "This is us," he'd say, tracing my jaw with charcoal fingers. Unfiltered. Family fused further. Mom and Dad hosted a Hazreyas Seder. Passover plates mingling matzo ball soup with Eraz con pollo. Questions reframed. What chains do we still carry? Dad, post-bypass, softer around edges. Shared war stories sans bravado. Losses in Nam that mirrored his own. Justin listened, nodding. Grief's a bridge, not a wall. Cousins crashed too, turning it into a block party. Puerto Rican flags fluttering beside the Afikaman hunt. But summer's heatwave baked old fissures. A podcast collab pulled me to LA for a week, networking with Hollywood queer creators, palm trees swaying like temptations. Justin stayed, citing a mural commission for a Brooklyn youth center. Vibrant murals of diverse lovers, fists raised in unity. Texts flew. Mine starry-eyed over vegan tacos, his paint-flecked selfies with "Miss Your Chaos." Then silence, his "A void from noon to midnight." Panic pricked. A call from Lena. "Ty, something's up." Gallery worlds buzzing. Homeward flight turbulent as my gut. Landing to a dark apartment. Compass whining at the door. Justin waited in the kitchen, face ashen, a letter in hand. Certified mail, Marco's return address. Parole papers. He'd served 18 months for stalking. Out early for good behavior. The note. Clean slate, J. Coffee sometime? For old times fire. My blood iced. You didn't respond? He shook his head, vehement. Burned it unread. But he called the studio. Left a voicemail. Suave. Sorry. Just want closure. Closure, the word curdled. We argued dawn through dusk. My fear a flare. He's poison. Block every avenue. His defensiveness a shield. I know, but pity's a bitch. He was broken too. Broken? The man who'd weaponized love into wounds. Compass barked mediation, but trust teetered. Therapy ramped. Dr. Ellis mediating, her voice a scalpel. Boundaries aren't walls. They're gardens. Justin installed blockers, changed numbers, but the encounter loomed. Marco's shadow at a coffee shop blocks away. Accidental sighting reported by a mutual. Justin paled. He's testing. I pulled him close that night, body's armor. We fight together. No solos. Fall foliage framed our counteroffensive. The youth center mural unveiling drew crowds. Kids tracing hands on wet paint, claiming space. Marco lurked periphery, gaunt in a hoodie, eyes hollow. Justin spotted him, froze. I stepped forward, voice steel. Leave, or we call it in. He slunk away, but not before a parting shot. You'll tire of his vanilla, Reyes. Venom, but impotent, we laughed it off over post-event beers, toasting resilience. Yet the ripple lingered. Justin's confidence cracked. Commissions drying as doubt whispered, fraud. I countered with co-creation. Podcast episodes on survivor's guilt, his illustrations amplifying arcs. One night, rain lashing windows, he confessed over whiskey. I dream of him sometimes, not want, but what if? Am I wired wrong? Vulnerability raw, I held him. We're all miswired. Love's the splice. Winter warmed with winds. Podcast syndication. A TEDx invite for me on Fitting Room Epiphanies. Corporate awakenings. Justin's solo show in Tribeca sold out. Critics praising emotional cartography. Families merged for Hanukkah Kwanzaa hybrid. Lax sizzling beside black-eyed peas. Dad and uncles bonding over cigars on the stoop. You're good for him, Dad grunted to Justin, a benediction. Spring bloomed defiant. Marco's relapse. Arrest for harassment. Miles away in Jersey. News we toasted with relief. We planted a garden on the fire escape. Tomatoes twisting toward sun. Basil scenting our kisses. Compass chased squirrels, yips joyous. Podcast hit 100 episodes. Live recording in a village theater. Audience electric. Fans sharing, you gave me courage notes. But climax brewed in June, heatwave redux. A donor gala for the youth center. Black tie under tents in McCarran Park, donors mingling with markers. Justin, tux sharp, schmoozed. I networked suits. Then Elena, resurfaced, velvet gown clinging, champagne flute tilted. Missed you at openings, she purred to him, hand on arm. I watched from afar, old jealousy flaring. Later, in the coat checks dim, her whisper, he's still got that fire. Don't let domestic dull it. He rebuffed, firm, public, but the seed sprouted. Home. Accusation flew. Flirting again? Or just networking? He slammed the door. Trust Ty. Why dredge graves? The fight fractured. Me to a hotel. Him to the studio. Canvases slashed in rage. Days blurred. Lena's interventions. Dr. Ellis's Zoom crises. Patterns repeat till broken, she urged. Reunion came mid-fight, Compass's emergency. Swallowed a sock, vet bills biting. We met at the clinic, united in worry. His paw bandaged, our walls crumbling. Can't lose him or us, Justin choked. Over recovery puppuccinos, truths tumbled. My insecurity a mirror to his past. Elena's barb a trigger for both. We're human, I said, hand in his. Messy maps to the same north. Summer healed slow. We vacationed in the Adirondacks. Cabin by lake, no signal, just loons calling and laps swum naked. There, under stars, he dropped to knees on the dock. Marry me again? Renew? Redo. Laughter bubbled, my yes a splash into cool water. Fall fortified. Podcast tour with joint appearances, his art in my talk slides. Marco's case closed, restraining order ironclad. Families gathered for vow renewal barbecue. Backyard in Westchester, grills smoking unity. Life's arc bent humanistic. Scars stories, not shackles. In America's churn, our love, dramatic drops, emotional swells, romantic rises. Endured, a testament to forgiveness's quiet power. Decades cusp dawned with the subtlety of a sunrise. Subtle shifts in hairlines. Laugh lines etching maps of mirth. Compass, elder statesman at 12, retired to plush beds. His gaze wise as he watched us navigate the year's gentle erosions. Our bed-stewy nest evolved. Drafting table upgraded to dual workstation. Walls a gallery of collaborations. Murals sketched on book covers. Podcast merch sporting his icons. Finances steadied. We socked away for a down payment. Dreaming Hudson Valley plots where city sirens yielded to crickets. Careers crested. My podcast morphed into a docuseries, Curtain Calls. Streaming on PBS. Episodes dissecting queer awakenings with celebs and everymen. Justin's animations threading emotional veins. Critics lauded. Hayes-Reyes duo redefines intimacy on screen. His galleries spanned coasts, LA collectives, Miami Basels, yet home anchored our rituals sacred. Sunday suppers with vinyl suppers, Coltrane crooning as we chopped. Families flowered. Mom and Dad downsized to a condo near us. Shabbats now potlucks with Justin's sofrito flair. Cousins birthed a new gen. Nieces tugging at our rings. Uncles swapping dad jokes in Spanglish. Abuela's rosary passed to a goddaughter. Her spirit in every family photo. A mosaic of resilience. But autumn's equinox tipped scales. A docuseries screening in Toronto pulled us north, red carpets, Q&As, the city's bilingual buzz electric. Jet lag lingered post-return, but so did an email. From Greg, my old boss, now humbled by a Me Too purge at the agency. Water under the bridge? Coffee. Your insights changed me. Curiosity warred with caution. Justin urged. Closure's yours. Go. The meet was neutral. A midtown Starbucks, ironic echo of our start. Greg. Grayer. Contrite. I was blind, Ty. Your pushback? It woke us. Vindication bittersweet. Apology accepted, but scars ached. Home. I unloaded to Justin over pad thai. Feels like shedding skin. He listened, then confessed. Got an offer. 6 months in Berlin. Residency at a queer art collective. Solo. The word hung solo. Excitement flickered, shadowed by echo. Separations passed, trusts tested. It's a dream, he pressed, eyes alight. but only if you're in. Debate stretched weeks. Pros, career rocket fuel. Cons, distance's devious pull. Therapy weighed. Growth demands risk. I nodded, go. We'll video date like pros. Winter whisked him away. JFK farewell kiss lingering as snow swirled. Berlin postcards arrived. Currywurst selfies. Graffiti walls inspiring sketches of divided lovers. Calls bridged oceans. 5 a.m. my time. His voice crackling with tales of techno clubs and Turkish markets. Miss your eggs, he'd yawn. Miss your chaos, I'd retort. Compass curled by the laptop whining at pixels. But March thawed illusions. A mutual's DM. Photo of Justin at a gallery afterparty. Arm around a lithe sculptor. Names like Inspo Collab. Innocent. Marco's ghost sneered no. Sleepless, I scrolled archives. Flirty tweets. Tagged artsy nights. Doubt fermented. Confrontation brewed via Zoom. His face pixelated in lamplight. Who's Lucas? I demanded, screenshot glaring. He blanched. Collab partner. Nothing more. But tone defensive, eyes darting. Trust me, Ty. Trust the frayed rope. Like Elena? Like Marco's closure? Silence stretched, Atlantic wide. I'm coming home early, he sighed. This distance. It's amplifying shadows. Return was tension taut. Airport hug stiff. Cab ride silent. Bed Stewie felt smaller, air thick. That night, over unpacked suitcases, truths erupted. Lucas's advance, Justin's rebuff muddled by wine and wanderlust. I felt adrift, he admitted, tears carving tracks. Berlin's freedom scared me. Without you, who am I? My hurt howled. And I was anchor, not partner? You ran to escape. The chasm yawned. Fights fractal, silences seismic. Compass limped between us, mediator mutt. Lena hosted interventions. Space to breathe, not break. Dr. Ellis mediated. Absence tests foundations. Reinforce. Weeks waned in limbo. Separate beds, shared fridge notes. Love you, even mad. Climax crested in May. Spring's riot clashing our storm. A docuseries panel in DC, me solo, Justin tagging for support. Q&A delved deep. How do you sustain after betrayal? Spotlight searing. Post-panel hotel bar, he cornered me. I get it now, running's my flaw. But you're my home. Words landed soft, but doubt armored. Prove it. No more flights from fear. Dawn walk along the tidal basin. Cherry blossoms shedding like regrets. He dropped to knees on dew-kissed grass. Tourists gaping, petals confetti. I'm yours, Tyler Hayes. Flaws and all. Stay. Laughter broke through tears. My hand pulling him up. Always. But we build wings, not escapes. Summer mended mesh. Berlin offer declined. Instead, a joint residency in the Catskills. Cabin co-op. Our crafts cross-pollinating. There, amid hikes and hearth fires, we rewrote rules. Annual solo adventures with check-ins, therapy as tune-up. Podcast episode raw. Love's long-distance lullabies. Fans flooding with solidarity. Fall-framed forgiveness. Compass's diagnosis, arthritis manageable, rallied us. Vet visits tag-teamed. Meds administered with whispers. Families sensed the shift. Gatherings gentler. Westchester harvest fests. Puerto Rican Day parades marching unity. Winter-wrapped renewal. 10th anniversary eve. Snow-dusted stoop. We dined at that old diner. Formica faithful, toasting with root beer floats. To fitting rooms and forever drops. He grinned. Bed welcomed. Bodies rediscovering, slow, sacred. Decades end tallied triumphs. Docuseries Emmy nod. Justin's monograph published. A niece's bat mitzvah where we danced aura with cousins. Betrayals? Chapters closed. Lessons ledgered. In America's epic, our tale. Hooked in impulse, laced with loss, laced with love, affirmed the human. Imperfect, enduring, achingly alive. And in quiet eves, his head on my shoulder, compass snoring symphony. I trace his ring. North, always.